Welcome to Airgun Extra, brought to you in association with Crackshot, the Southwest's premier airgun centre and ranges. In this week's episode, I'm taking a look at the super fast shooting Taipan Slash, but before that, I'm carrying out a somewhat unplanned comparison test between the effectiveness of lamping tactics and night vision gear for after dark ratting. Right, we're out on what has so far been a pretty frustrating session around the farmyard. The original plan was that we'd be thinning out crows that have been targeting the cattle feed, but they just weren't playing ball and that actually ended up a blank. However, I did manage to shoot a rat inside one of the barns. Now, they're also attracted by the cattle feed and also the grain stores here. So, light's about to start going. It's the sort of time when rats are going to start moving even more so. So I thought maybe we would try and have a proper go at them. Now I haven't got my dedicated night vision kit here with me, so I've cobbled together a few bits and pieces from the boot of the car. I've got a night vision clip on that we'll try a bit later, but I thought we'd kick off by doing it the old fashioned way and doing a bit of lamping. So the lamp I've got here is from the Richter Optic gun light set, although I've put a different mount on it just so I've got a bit more angle adjustment. It's got interchangeable lenses. I've actually got the red one on now to hopefully give me a bit of stealth, but it's also got an IR lens that you can put in it and obviously use it as an illuminator. The scope that I've got it mounted on is my ever faithful Hawke Sidewinder. Now this is a brilliant optic, so if nothing else I know that I'm going to get a nice sharp view through the scope during the lamping stage of this session. Right, I'm going to get myself settled into one of the barns and we'll see how it goes. Well, there was a sight that you quickly get used to when you're lamping rats, and that is the sight of a rat running away from the lamplight. Now, that one was actually on a fistful of grain that I put down just before we settled in, so I hope that it will soon be back. Now, one thing that's probably worth me pointing out, and I have mentioned it before on this farm, is that we've got turkey sheds around us, so if you hear some funny noises in the background, it is most likely turkeys. That rat really does not trust the lamplight. At last. That one was probably about 11 metres, needed a little bit of holdover with this setup, and I managed to get it that time while it was still sort of tucked in under the wall. But yeah, it was a young rat, wasn't very big, probably one of the few rats stupid enough to linger in the lamplight. I wanted to give lamping a bit longer, but we waited a long time just to get that one. I can hear rats moving all around the barn and outside in the yard around us, but they're just not hanging around in the lamplight. So I think what I'm going to do now is change over to the infrared clip-on, and we'll see if we can't do any better with that. Right then, so here is the night vision setup. I've got on my old night visor night vision clip-on. I've got a feeling this setup is probably actually obsolete now, but I know that Pard makes something quite similar that's probably significantly more refined, and you'll probably better find that on the Scott Country website. I've got one slight concern, and that is that the integral IR illuminator on this doesn't clear the turret on the Sidewinder by very much. It does clear it though, so fingers crossed we will actually get a decent sight picture. I've already mentioned the Sidewinder. The gun that I've got for this session is a gun I'm using a lot lately, FX DRS Classic, 177 caliber, sub 12 foot-pounds, and thank goodness I did have a sub 12 gun for the earlier Farmyard assignment, because shooting in these, in and around these buildings, that lower power is absolutely perfect. I'm running it on the heavier version of QYS streamlined pellets. It's very, very accurate with them, literally stacking them on top of each other at 30 meters. So over ratting ranges, I've got no concerns whatsoever. The only other bit of kit is the Sigma moderator from Eagle Vision Cam. Again, I've been using Eagle Vision moderators a lot this year. I've been really, really impressed with them. This one is keeping the DRS dead quiet. Oh, and finally, actually, one thing I should probably mention is, although I love the standard stock on the DRS, I have actually dropped this into a stock from Form, which has got an adjustable cheek support push button adjustment on it. Just means that when I'm sort of chopping and changing between different optics, I can move that cheek piece up and down and get really good eye scope alignment. So that's the kit. Let's see if we can get back on those rats. Well, that is a lot more like it. It's not ideal, but I'm getting enough IR going over that turret to be able to see what I'm doing. I'm losing a bit of clarity here from the scope because I'm going through additional lenses, and also with that add-on, the extra length, I feel like I'm falling off the back of the gun. But that rat was a lot less bothered than the ones that I was trying to shine a lamp on, and it wasn't the only one there then, so hopefully we'll be on for a few more now. And there's another one. There's definitely a few rats moving over in that corner. Another one by that old high-vis jacket there, which just seems to have been left to rot there. But they love that spot. That rat wasn't the only one there that time either. It's pretty close too. It's not a very long shot at all, and looking at how that last rat bled out, I think that pellet went straight through it and passed out through its belly. So not only was that a headshot, I think it was also a heart and lung shot. That one was very, very close, so close that I couldn't focus on it anything like properly, but another rat nonetheless. Well, that was another one under that old jacket, and it appeared to be absolutely munching away at the previous one that we'd shot under there. I'm actually going to make that the last one. I've mentioned before on this farm we can't stay super late here because they like to lock up after us, but well, it's certainly been an interesting session. The crow shoot never happened. I was really excited about having a go at lamping, but that really wasn't to be. It certainly wasn't making the most of the opportunities that we were going to get here with the rats on the move. Night vision has won out, but that hasn't been without its compromises, and ultimately it makes me really appreciate the advantage of having dedicated night vision optics, and I can't wait to get back and have a proper go at these rats with my usual setup. A tricky farmyard session rescued by some old gear rummaged from the boot of the car there. Right then, next up I'm taking a look at the super fast Taipan Slash. You've just seen me whipping through some shots with the Taipan Slash, which is distributed in the UK by Rangerite and has a super fast self-indexing firing system. Now there are two main models of this gun, a tactical version and a standard one. This is the standard model and it retails for a cool £2,350. Now a lot of you are probably going to say that that is a lot of money. And it is. Some of you will probably say that you could buy a second-hand car for that price, and you'd be right, but this is not a second-hand car. This is an extremely accurate, fast-firing airgun that's made to incredibly high standards. Now, you don't have to have an airgun like this to enjoy your shooting, but that doesn't mean that manufacturers shouldn't push the boundaries, creating innovative products for people that can afford them. Right, so as I've said, there are two main different versions of the Slash, and the key difference between this one and the tactical model is the fore end. Although I've got to say, this one still looks pretty tactical, and that sort of fairly skeletonized rail incorporates M-lock slots for accessory attachment. So your pistol grip is of the AR-15 type. Now you can swap it out, however I think this one is perfectly good. It's nicely contoured, it's got some really grippy stippling, and most of all it's set me up very well for the trigger. Moving back, the removable cheek support is pretty basic. There's no adjustment in it, but I found it comfortable enough and had decent eye alignment when using this gun with medium height mounts. Now, the butt pad is equally basic, but again, it does what it needs to do. It feels comfortable and secure in the shoulder, and that's the main thing. One thing that I've really noticed with the Taipan airguns that I've had for review is that their build quality is amazing. They're really tough, yet they're also very cleanly engineered. Now, the black anodized finish on this one looks flawless, and it really suits its overall styling. Scope mounting is via a Picatinny rail. That gives you about 160 millimeters of clamping space and has 20 MOA built in. So this gun has the 420 millimeter barrel. There is also a 550 millimeter barrel option. With this shorter barrel, overall length of the gun is around 810 millimeters, and it weighs about 3 kilos with the magazine in. So that barrel is made by CZ, and it sits inside a very chunky shroud or moderator. Now that does a pretty good job of suppressing muzzle report, but I'm told that there is a 1/2 inch UNF adapter in the pipeline, and that may well be available by the time you see this review. The Taipan Slash is equipped with an excellent trigger. The blade has a gentle sweep and a wide, flat face that transmits plenty of feel to the pad of your finger. Now, this 2-stage unit is adjustable, but as ever, I've tested it on its factory setting. So with that setup, first stage travel doesn't feel very long, but it doesn't feel too short either. It comes to a very clear stop, and the second stage break is crisp and absolutely creep-free. The Slash incorporates some pretty thorough safety features. First up, it can't be fired if the magazine retainer pin isn't in position. Now, there is also a switch type safety catch positioned just in front of the trigger blade. Now, regular viewers will know that I would prefer for it to be a bit further away from the trigger, but there's no denying that it's easy to access. So you push it forward into the safe position and then flick it back when you're ready to take the shot. Caliber options are 177, 22, .25 and .30. So the Slash actually comes supplied with 2 magazines. Now in 177 caliber, they're both the same, but in 22 and upwards, one is specifically for pellets and one is for slugs. The one for slugs is marked with a little dot. Now, at about 16 millimeters deep, this magazine is not going to struggle with longer slugs. To remove the magazine, you push the retainer forwards and the mag then pulls straight out from the left side of the gun. Now this is a 177 caliber model, and the all-metal drum magazine holds 12 pellets or slugs. It is very simple to load. You just push pellets in to each bay from the side with the cog on it. Now once it's fully loaded, you then use the little supplied tool to push down on them and make sure that they're properly seated. You then simply pop the magazine back in, return the retainer, and you're ready to go. Because this airgun has a self-indexing firing system, it doesn't have a cocking lever. It does have a decocking lever though, and that is a great feature because it means that you can ensure that this gun isn't left cocked. So to use it, you pull the lever all the way back with the magazine retainer engaged and the safety catch off. You then squeeze the trigger, return the decocking lever with the trigger held down, and that will decock the action. That self-indexing firing system is a real standout feature on the Taipan Slash, and it delivers very quick shooting. Now for optimum accuracy, I would suggest that you don't push it too hard on the speed front, because the plenum needs a moment to refill to ensure consistent muzzle velocity. Now even when you're being sensible with it, it is still quick. It's great fun to shoot, and it means that you've always got fast follow-up shots ready to hand. In terms of accuracy, the Slash can hold its own against pretty much anything. CZ barrels are famed for their precision, and combined with very consistent power output and an excellent trigger, this one is bang on. Now shooting from the support of a bench in still conditions, I was getting tiny groups at 30 meters. I was still getting single hole groups at 40 metres, and I was absolutely annihilating steel targets at 50 metres. High power models of the Slash are capable of massive power output. Now this one is sub 12 and it's running at 11.5 foot-pounds. Now the regulator is doing a great job, provided I don't push it too hard on the speed front, and muzzle velocity variation is remaining within 5 feet per second over a 10-shot string. As you can see, it's a bottle air gun. There is a 300cc carbon fibre bottle at the butt of the gun. Onboard pressure is displayed on a gauge that's tucked in by the neck of that bottle. Maximum fill pressure is 300 bar. Now, I didn't have that much in the tank I was filling from, but I reckon you can expect a full charge to give you at least 150 shots and probably significantly more with a sub 12 model. Now refilling is by means of a supplied quick fill probe, and that simply slots into the inlet next to where the bottle meets the butt of the gun. It's worth mentioning that the Slash comes with quite a few accessories. Now I've already mentioned the 2 magazines, the pellet seating tool and the quick fill probe. You also get some spare O-rings and a tool for adjusting regulator pressure on high power models. Now there was also a spare gauge in there, and that did initially have me wondering, but it turns out that that screws into the thread where there is a brass screw underneath the cheek support, and that is for checking your reg pressure when making those adjustments. If you want detailed information on the technicalities of making adjustments to the Taipan Slash, there are some brilliant instructional videos on the Taipan Airgun's YouTube channel. Now I've got to say, I found it very simple to set up and to use. It really is a remarkable airgun. It's compact, it's tough, it's very accurate, and it's capable of incredibly fast shooting. Now fair enough, it is expensive, but it is a premium Czech-made airgun, and I think that shooters that want and can afford an airgun like this are going to have great fun shooting it. I certainly have, but I'm afraid I have to give it back.
The Great British Shooting Show, held on the 13th to the 15th of February 2026 at the NEC Birmingham. Book tickets online at shootingshow.co.uk.
I'm afraid that's all we've got time for this week, but as ever, we'll be back with more in 2 weeks' time. I just want to say thanks to Crackshot. There's a link to their website in the show description, and thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. As I said, we're back with more in a fortnight. Until then, enjoy your shooting and stay safe.